pop over number one, a book you've all heard about a lot from me, Decisive. If we're talking about taking risks, this is the number one book on making decisions. I talk about it all the time. A lot of people have read it. Devin had it as his book club book and thought it was amazing. Devin Nash. This book is all about how to make good decisions, and taking smart risks is about taking good decisions. But we don't often think of decisions as having risks. And I want to point out this book is really about risk. Second book. This one is by Taleb, Nassim Taleb. I have not read it, and I want to be clear, I have not. Super well known. Black Swan. For those of you who don't know about a black swan, let's see if it shows up here. The impact of the highly improbable is the subtitle. The thing to understand about black swans and risks is with a risk, you have to be really sure that something's not going to happen. Because with black swans, bad things can happen that are very unlikely. It's like a classic black swan was Hurricane Katrina flooding New Orleans. It was very unlikely, particularly in any given year, but catastrophic when it happened. And so the idea of the black swan is actually you can make a good decision that has very low risk, but very high consequences when the risk hits. And so the point I want to make here is be careful when you're considering trying to take a smart risk. Remember to ask yourself not just how likely is the downside, but how bad is the downside. So a lot of the stuff I do when I'm mountaineering, for example, the odds of something going wrong aren't very bad, but the consequence is death. And then there's a lot of things I do every day where the risk is not nearly as much. Like I talk about people go speeding. Most drivers speed. If you're speeding, so what? Because in a sense, the downside is you get a ticket. And it just isn't the same as death. Now, if you speed and you kill somebody, different problem. But speeding and tickets just are not the same as hurricanes. So that's the point of Black Swan and understanding the impact of the highly improbable. Last book I'll talk about, and I talk about it all the time. Why is it showing Audible? That is not what I want. There we go. Here we go. Nope. Where did we lose this? Oh, holy hell. There we go. Rejection proof. So I talk about rejection proof. Oh, it's because I'm on Audible. I listen to a lot of things. By the way, I highly recommend Audible just because you can get in twice as much and you can play books on more than 1x speed and you can listen extra fast and get more into your brain quicker. So I use it all the time. But Rejection Proof is a book. Why am I talking about Rejection Proof in the context of risks? And because the camera's cutting off my chin, I'm going to go back to the main camera, and we'll make that window a little bigger in the future. But why am I talking about Rejection Proof in the context of risks? I'm talking about Rejection Proof because the book really covers how to increase your risk tolerance, your ability to deal with the feeling of being at risk, the feeling of being scared, the feeling of, oh crap, I'm about to do something dangerous or uncomfortable. Rejection Proof will give you practice for how to sit with your feelings because most of us have to run away from our feelings and medicate them. And so if you can get away from that and if you can stand the tension, you can be a lot stronger. All right. So let's see. I haven't talked about top risks I've taken that worked out in Amazon. Oh, hell, I didn't transition this back. Bad OBS use. There we go. So now we're back on the main page. We covered this question. Do you know if there's correlation between introverts and extroverts? We don't. A bunch of people theorize we don't. We're going to take a minute and read chat, and then we're going to go on to our next question. But I will prompt you we've got a huge audience tonight. Thank you all for being here. Follow the channel if you haven't. We're going to do chat interaction in a second on this question, and we'll ask the question of the week to chat in just a minute. We'll do that next. But if you want me to answer certain questions, there's 100 of you here. Only 5 of you have voted in our extension. You guys get to control what I talk about. That's a great offer. Here I am at your pleasure, sitting, admittedly, drinking a nice cocktail provided by my mods, and chatting with you about what I know about taking risks at Amazon. And I'm going to tell some stories about risks I took at Amazon that worked out, since I mostly earlier told stories about taking risks in the mountains where I nearly killed myself. But if in the meantime you want to vote on what I answer, go into our extension. The link just popped up in chat, so you can click on that link instead if you want. Or you can use the Twitch extension. You do have to log into it, either way, and vote on what I'm going to talk about next. So every week in the meantime, we do a relationship question of the week from a guy named Arthur Aaron. And it's time for question of the week. All the regulars know how this works. All of you new folks, here's your chance to get involved in a very safe, simple way in chat. All right. Question of the week this week is, what is the greatest accomplishment of your life? And I want to hear it in chat. Everybody tell everyone. This one's hard for me to answer, particularly because my wife is listening. So I have to say, of course, meeting my wife and her accepting my proposal of marriage is the greatest accomplishment of my life. So I'm going to answer honestly, what is the second greatest accomplishment of my life? Because the first accomplishment is known. But probably staying married is number 2. Greatest accomplishment. This is deep. Why this question? So, vocalist, we get these questions from a guy named Arthur Aaron. Let me see if I can Google it and put it up real quick while I think about this one, because it's hard. Arthur Aaron, 36. He's a psychologist who learned that if you answer these questions, they predictably bring people closer together. And in fact, I'm going to show you, here we go, that this claim, which is from Reader's Digest, so I do not consider it scientific. But Reader's Digest said the 36 questions that can make you fall in love with anyone. So that's pretty overhyped, but these questions are about building relationship. And we go through every question. We go through a question every week, and we've made our way to question 15 of the 36. So it's my way of getting to know the people in the channel. So, good enough. Let's see. We go back to one camera. La, la, la. Drive the bus. There we go. All right. So let me answer this. Let me see what you guys are answering. My kids, yes. And also being promoted. Kristen, you made it. That's awesome. Everyone claps in chat for Kristen. We had a coaching session with her live 2 weeks ago. She was here. She gave me whiskey. Come on, claps for that. And she got into management. So now she's on the dark side with me, and maybe in the future, some of you. And in the near future, she's going to have the problem how to raise her kids not to be entitled little shits as she brings home rivers of money. Because one of the things I've been coaching Kristen offline in Discord, and you should join our Discord, I've been coaching her how to make sure she gets a big fat raise with her promotion to manager. So, all right. I'm being pulled out.
Somebody called it out in chat.
All right. Those are good mods. Apparently, the cinnamon sugar from the rim was all over my face. All right. Congratulations, Kristen. Let's see. What else we got in here? Insane shilling. Come to the dark side. We've got cookies. Yes, we managers, we hoard all the cookies. Plus, we have the keys to the executive washroom. Surviving depression. That's a great thing as your greatest accomplishment. Cosmic Corn Dog, you're the source of the sugar on my upper left side. Thank you. Knock on wood, I'll be the first person in my family to ever graduate. Good job, Ojo4. That's fantastic. Congratulations. My dad was that. Buying my first home, maybe. Chalupa lives here in Seattle, so if he's buying his first home, that is a huge accomplishment. My greatest accomplishment was coming in 7th at the state track meet in high school. Good job, Duke of Thought. 40 Pink Dragons, the runner as well. I love all the claps. All right, so what else do I say my greatest accomplishment? Getting accepted my top choice university. Furrow Key is on our show a lot. He's at Waterloo in Canada, which is amazing. Have you hired anyone that came from public accounting? Yes. My financial advisor is a public accountant. There's probably some other people who are too. Amazon hires a lot of people in public accounting into our finance groups who support all our businesses. Is knowing how to make a drink a requirement to being a mod? No, Undead Banana. But making a good drink could be your future greatest accomplishment. Oh, Kristen killed it. 16.5% as a raise. She told me in her Discord chat with me that she thought 15% was the limit. So she nailed it. Good job. Patback 93, losing over 90 pounds and having that transcend into every other aspect of my life. I couldn't agree with you more. Congratulations. I grew up heavy. I lost about 75 pounds. So I lost 10 inches off my waist. I lost four sizes off my hand, my ring finger. So it used to be my fingers were such sausages, there was no light between them. So good job on that. That's a huge accomplishment. And that might be one of my top accomplishments. But mine's going to sound fuzzy. I'm going to answer the question. Honestly, my top accomplishment, and I'm glad we're talking about this, is getting to be comfortable with who I am and doing what I want in life, not what other people expected. So I had parents who expected stuff, bosses who expected stuff, my ex-wife expected stuff, lots of people. I was living other people's lives. And I would say my greatest accomplishment is starting to live my life. And that's one of the things when I came to do this show tonight, I was thinking, I've been pushing really hard. Like I have to do the perfect show all the time. And I thought, no, I don't. People like to chat. They like to discuss these questions. And I just have to hang out and be friendly. The point is, I'm better at living my life. All right, who else is here? My greatest, I didn't fall into drugs like 95% of my friends. Pashi, you live a really interesting life, buddy. You talk about some really wild stuff. But my daughter lives in a drug-infested hellhole in Northeast Ohio. There are a lot of them there. And I get it. There are a lot of places where a lot of people are in drugs. So you stay clean and stay out of that stuff. Liger, something saved him. Fell his best walking wave. Yes. Liger, MMA versus going into medicine. If you've got a big brain, which you do, please don't get punched in the head too much. Leave that to Mike Tyson. And I know he's old, but you can tell he got punched in the head too much. I found that physical accomplishment is most respected. You can never bullshit or find an excuse for a good physique. Well, that's probably true. It's visible. That's for damn sure. All right, so a ton of people, I appreciate it, have voted on this next question. Can you explain what a one-way door is and how it relates to risk? So this is an Amazon, and Pashi, I see your comment. I will get back to it when I'm done here. Can you explain what a one-way door is and how it relates to risk? This is an Amazon concept, and I'm eager to share it. So you can read about this. Bezos talks about it. And a one-way door is a risk that is not reversible. And that's contrast to the idea of a two-way door, which is something you can undo if it doesn't work out. So, example, streaming. I started streaming and I wasn't sure how it would go. After all, nothing I do here normally fits Twitch. And all the folks from Devin's channel throw up the eggplant for me, right? The point is, Twitch is a place where people come to chill and hang out. They come to watch games. And most of the people playing games, I could be their dad. And if I couldn't be their dad, I could be their way the hell older uncle or brother. And so what's the old guy with the white hair going to do on Twitch that's going to be interesting? And am I going to be any good about it? And then I worried, like, hey, people know I work for Twitch. I work for Amazon. I run Twitch Prime. Is everybody with an issue about who got banned going to show up in my chat and rail about, hey, Ethan, why did so-and-so get banned and blah, blah, blah? And all I'm going to do is my mods are going to be working overtime, chucking people out of the chat. And the people who are in my chat from staff are going to have to be here like controlling the chat so I can even talk. Well, none of that shit ever happened. And by the way, Mark Twain had a good point. If you've never heard this quote, I'll share it. Mark Twain, I think it was him, said, in my life, I've had a great many troubles, most of which never happened. He understood the fact that we are way better at envisioning shit going wrong than it actually going wrong. We are way better at fearing stuff than having it actually happen. So, great news. None of that ever happened. No eggplants came into my chat. Our mods, honestly, have lots of time to make me spicy whiskey cocktails because they rarely have to police anyone. We had to police one person today, and that's unusual. Usually, it's nobody. Why did that Easy Coach guy get banned? So, 3Y Gun, I normally no longer try and watch chat, but your message shows exactly why Easy Coach got banned, because he was supposed to be the Easy Coach. After my initials, my middle initial is Z, so I thought, great, EZ. All right, back to one-way door and two-way door. A two-way door, therefore, is me streaming. I could always quit. If it didn't work, I could bail. So that's something you can do that you can get out of. A one-way door is something once you're committed, you're stuck with it. And there's no way out, or it's very, very hard. And so Bezos talks about one-way doors. Yeah, we can play a game. Guess Ethan's middle name. It's not a secret, and there are a couple people who know, but nobody ever figures out what a Z name should be. Google not allowed. My brother is Zach. All right. Two-way door is reversible. One-way door is not reversible. What Bezos talks about one-way door is not being something that's not reversible. His classic answer is that a one-way door is lowering price because you can never raise it again. So if you take something that's $50 and you start whatever it is, this bottle of whiskey that's empty now. If you start with a $50 price point and then you teach people, you lower the price to $30 and you teach people they can get this bottle of whiskey for $30. If you then try and sell the whiskey for $50 again, people rebel and they're like, man, those suspect guys, they jack the price up. So Amazon, where the story comes out, is a one-way door is anything you can't reverse. And the example was when Amazon did free shipping, not Prime, but free shipping. When you ordered a certain amount, they knew it would work, but the mods will have to tell you how much that whiskey costs. I have no idea if it's $50 whiskey, but it probably is. And because it's some micro whiskey and flavored, and that jacks up all the price. All right. What they did is they started at $100, and they said, if you order $100 of stuff, we'll ship it free. Well, that worked. So then they said $75, then $50, and then finally they realized we can lower it to $25. But once you have $25 shipping, free shipping, you can't go the other way very easily. It's very hard. Now, if you're observant, you'll notice I think it's now $35. So like a decade later, we raised it to $35 because items were more expensive and things had inflated. But it's really hard to raise the price of something that you've taught. So that's the difference between one-way and two-way door. And so as it relates to risk, and this was a good question, I almost feel like it was a plant, but if somebody planted it, I don't know who did it. Taking a risk on something that you can reverse is a much easier risk. So tattoos are a great example here that's practical. Tattoos are reversible, but only with a lot of money and a lot of pain and a lot of time. So people, you should think a long time before you get something tattooed on. As an example, a funny example, I could never figure out what I wanted to have all my life, but in a past life, so to speak, I was going to get my wedding ring tattooed on, and that would have turned out to be an error and very hard to reverse. So be careful what you tattoo on. You might have to keep it. That's an example of one-way door. If it's reversible and you can get out of it, you buy a house, you can sell a house. You might lose some money. You buy a car, you can sell the car. You might lose some money. Things that are hard to reverse are things like surgery or things that have permanent life consequences. And those one-way doors that alter your life permanently or alter your body, those are really big. And so that's the concept. And so if it's a two-way door, take the risk, gamble. And Bezos uses this concept. He pushes us with a thing called bias for action. Yes, Ojo 4, you nailed it. And Pink Dragons, you guys are exactly right. Having kids is a one-way door. You cannot unhave them. You can neglect them. You can be a shitty mom or dad, but they are yours for life. And the courts try and make sure that you keep them and you take care of them. And so that is a perfect example of a one-way door. So I wouldn't say smoking and getting cancer. Smoking, you can quit. If you get the cancer, you can't quit then. So that's a good example both ways. All right, we're going to move on. This is so much fun now. I love these questions. And I'm not sure, by the way, anyone put my name in, but we won't go over it. If somebody guesses, we'll figure it out. Let's see. I promised to go backwards and find what Pashi said. I come from lower economic background. Looking back at the place I had to grow up and all the factors around me, I should be like a criminal or dead, and I managed to dodge all that. Well, Pashi, congratulations. I know you're in our Discord server. By all means, chat with me sometime and tell me more about it if you want. I respect people. I've seen people come out of tough circumstances, and that's fantastic. I'm the most successful. I had 3 siblings. My older brother is now dead. He was an alcoholic, and he drank himself to death. So even though we all had a good family, different kids go different ways. And I understand environment can make a huge difference. All right. Let's see. Pashi's still got stuff to say here in chat. The guesses are fun. Nobody's guessing seriously anymore. But it is weird. My middle name is not that weird. People just don't think of it. Chalupa, who works at Amazon with me, says there's an important distinction here, though, on this topic. It's not that you shouldn't make one-way door decisions. You just have to make them very carefully. That's right. Look, I'm all about taking big risks. Take all the risk you want, but if it's a big risk with what that isn't easy to get out of, think very carefully. Most of the best things that have happened to me at Amazon have been gambles. I gambled on some stuff about how we launched Amazon Video. Some of it worked, some of it didn't. People have probably heard my TiVo story. I bet on putting our service on TiVo, and it turned out that got us all the other smart TVs and really grew that service. So I made a bad bet later on at Amazon trying to launch something I hadn't tested enough, and I got busted and got in trouble with with Jeff Bezos. I survived that, though, by taking a gamble and going to talk to him right after I'd made him mad. And so I sat next to Jeff in a meeting when he was very angry at me, but I made him, I don't know if I made him. I chose to face him, and in person, he wasn't nearly as mean to me as he had been in email. He wasn't as mad. He wasn't able to stay mad in person. So that was a gamble, a risk I took that worked out. I feel like I'm teaching you guys bad habits by having new cocktails every week. But I guess you're all... all right. So, yes, that's right. Phyllis Sing For You has to disqualify herself from Guess My Middle Name. There's a few people who do. My middle name is Zebra, is Zeus. These are all killer middle names. Zorro, Zurich. I would love to have all those. I love to go to Zurich. I haven't been there since I was a kid. Zorro, I love the scene where Antonio Banderas explains that he knows how to use the sword. He says the pointy end goes in the other man. I think that is a great short summary. All right, let's go on with questions. I'll let the mods do their job and pin this next one. What are your top 2 triggers, no pun intended, or signs that a risk is worth taking for better or worse? Yes, I agree with you, Undead Bandana. That was Catherine Zeta-Jones, one of her better movies. All right, top triggers. Oh, boy. So for me, I love to take risks, and this is a good story. So a lot of you know I built bits. And if someone just cheers more than 200 bits right now, they can displace David, our honorable, awesome Dave, as number 1 in the channel for bits. But if they don't, that's okay, because this is all here for you guys for free. But I had to call him out and put some pressure on him. So one of the signs, like when we were getting ready to launch bits, there were people at Twitch who said, partners aren't going to like this, and we should be very careful launching it. And we need to roll it out slowly. And what if people don't like it? And there were a lot of concerns. And the thing about Twitch you have to learn is on Twitch, somebody will damn well criticize everything. So Bezos has this saying, and it's not just about Bezos, but Bezos has this saying, oh, I see somebody finally got my middle name right. Good job. Bezos has this saying, which is, if you don't want to be criticized, for God's sake, don't do anything new. I don't think he said God's sake, but whatever, something like that. Look, for bits, Andy Jassy, who runs Amazon Web Services, said, you guys are going too slow. Just roll it out. So we just rolled it out to everyone. And you know what? A few partners squawked, like, I don't like bits on my channel. I don't like these. I use donations instead. The margin isn't the same as if you donate to me with PayPal. blah, blah, blah. But most people immediately used bits or they turned it off and they didn't. The point is, I normally take risks when somebody's just worried about what someone else might say. And particularly if you've arranged it so they have an option to opt out. So I will tell this story again. After we built Bits, we had the idea to allow people on Twitch to be affiliates. So we said, look, partnership is great. It's fantastic. We love our Twitch partners. And we saw Sheena was here earlier. We saw Devin here earlier. We had a bunch of partners in the chat. Thank you for being here. But what we did is we said, look, I lost my train of thought. Unbelievable. Risks. Somebody remind me. Wow, I blanked. I've had too much to drink. So have some more. Thank you, chat. So we had ways for people to opt out. We decided to have the affiliates program. And partnership is great. But again, the same thing arose where I won't call any of them out, but some then members of the partnership team said, you know what? If you let affiliates have the sub button, and if you let affiliates have bits, you're going to ruin partnership, and no one will care about being a partner anymore. And all of our partners are going to be super mad, and they're going to come after you, and we're going to have a riot, and you absolutely can't let anybody else earn money. And we talked about it internally, but essentially I said, yeah, I don't believe it. And in fact, what happened is we let everyone be an affiliate, right? Very simple requirements to be an affiliate on Twitch. And people got a few partners did pop off, and they're like, hey, I worked really hard to earn money. And they cried about it. And the great thing was other partners came out and said, so what? You just want to hoard it all to yourself? Do you remember how hard you worked? Like, give these people a break and don't be selfish. And basically the community stood up and silenced the few partners who complain. So answering the question, sign number one or trigger number one is don't be afraid of negative feedback. There is always somebody who's going to tell you why your idea is bad. In fact, if you can't find a bunch of people to tell you your idea is bad, you probably don't have any friends, because it's so much easier to envision problems and bag on something than it is to envision what could go well. And so people will complain to you all the time about what's going to go wrong. You've got to get really good at ignoring that shit and pushing through it. It doesn't mean you don't listen, doesn't mean you don't take into consideration what they're going to say. But just think about anything you've done in your life and how many critics there are. There will always be critics. All right, do I have a second sign that a risk is worth taking? Yes. Are you going to hate yourself or have regrets if you don't do it? Like, if the consequences are acceptable or tolerable, and you're going to hate yourself if you don't do it, then you should do it, because even if you get burned, that's really worth it. And so I'm going to give a very personal example, leaving out some details. I mentioned earlier that I have an ex-wife. And when we were having trouble in our marriage, I had a chance to leave, and probably good reason to leave. She had done some stuff that wasn't very cool, and I had a chance to leave. But I really wanted to keep my marriage together. And I thought about, and I said, look, to myself, I talk to myself a lot. It's a good way to get intelligible answers. I said, look, self, you're probably going to get burnt on this. It probably isn't going to work out. But I want to be able to know I did everything I could to keep this marriage together. So I stayed in it when I shouldn't have. And sure as sure enough, more bad things happened, and eventually I had to give up. But I could then face myself, even though I'd been burned. I took the risk knowing I might get burned, but the consequence of getting burned was worth it to know I had done everything I could. And so my example to you on taking risk is if you're not going to be able to live with yourself if you pass it up. Like I have a friend who's considering starting a business. I think she should take a shot at starting the business, because if she doesn't start the business, she's always going to wonder what might have happened. Could I have worked for myself? Could I have had financial freedom? Was I capable? And you know what? If the business tanks and it doesn't work out, she can always go get another job. She's had many jobs, but she's never run her own business. So sure, it might go wrong, but it might go right. And that's why you take risk. All right, we have a ton of people. Thank you for all of you who are voting. We have a ton of people who want me to answer this next question, so we're going to go to it. And Kristen, I'm happy to have shared the personal example. That situation sucked. Someday, never, I will give out all the details. Never. Unless I get more good whiskey. All right. What is your thought about taking risks in university, applying to do the exams or delaying it? So if you wrote this question, explain to me what you mean by applying to do the exams or delaying it while I answer the first part. My thought about taking risks in university is absolutely positively. Do it. The consequences of risks in university are lower than about anywhere else in your life they could be. I'm going to move the camera a little bit. All right. I like it better there. So what are my thoughts about taking risks in university? Do it. Because sure, you can get a bad grade. Don't get yourself expelled. Do finish your degree, maybe. Hey, Furokey, thanks. Oh, harsh. Bits rivalry. Be careful, Furokey. Plus, David can be competitive. What are your thoughts about taking risks in university? Oh, we've got the bits train going. So, I love it. What a better time. You're young. You probably have no kids. Yes, you have a little bit of debt, but you're going to have that anyway. You have freedom. You have your whole life to recover from it. If you're an old bastard like me and you screw something up, you're running out of time to fix it. But if you're young, you have all this fabulous time to go after it and take risks and learn from it and learn what you like and learn what you don't. Now, let me see if anybody explained. University is the only time in your life where your only job is to learn and to explore. Ojo 4, that is exactly right. Let's see. Did anybody explain? Zelkova 204, I'm glad you quit your job to freelance. If that's what you wanted to do, you can always go back to a job. I didn't talk about this book yet. I talk about it all the time. I'll see if I can bring it up. The best book on earth on this really is, let me get it, and a lot of you know it because Devin recommends it and I love it too. And that book is The 4-Hour Work Week. This book is amazing about taking risks and the fact you can always get your job back. Look, the world wants, I'm going to bring this up real quick. This is the book. So if you haven't read this book, think about this, right? It's got a 4.4 star rating with 5,000 reviews. There are very few books on Amazon with 5,000 reviews. There are very few books that average 4.4 stars. This is my actual account, and I want to point this out to you. I purchased this book 3 times back in 2010 when I discovered it. It came out in 2009. I read it. I bought copies for other people. I read it again. You totally want to read this book if you want to know about the ability to try things in your life and then try again or go back to a regular job. He makes that point way better than I possibly could, and university is like a free chance. is a free chance to do that on the cheap. So absolutely, as long as you're not going to prison or getting expelled, go take risks, experiment, try different things, because it's all recoverable. It's all one-way doors. Mullet Boy 3000 says, I've read that book, but I guess it didn't sink in. Read it again. Name of the book again, please. The book is The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. Here we go. We'll stick it up here again so you can see it. It's this book. I've read it many, many times. I actually keep the book in my car on audio and read it over and over. All right. So we talked about one-way doors and two-way doors. Yeah, this is a two-way door. If I said one-way door, I meant it's a two-way door, picking things to do. Wow. Someone voted the hell out of the next question, and it had to be Awesome Dave with his bits. He's encouraging people to know you can pump a vote in our extension by spending bits. Awesome Dave wrote the extension. So if you use bits to pump up a vote in extensions so that I answer it, he gets some of the bits. So that's entrepreneurship and advertising all combined. All right. Lanufel says he explained what I meant by the second half of the question. In the German system, if you fail the exam 3 times, you're expelled and can never apply for the same degree in the land. In other words, you lost all the progress. Okay. So that seems like a one-way door, and I would be very hesitant to give up my degree by failing the exam 3 times. But I might fail it once. And I sure as hell would explore. Life is short, and doing what you don't like sucks so bad if you have any choice. In America anyway, 70% of people, when you survey them, they hate their damn jobs. Talk about it in chat. Let's be honest. We have a higher, more educated, more ambitious set of people here, but be honest. How many of you in chat sound off dislike your current job? Lassiter likes his job. That's 1 vote for like. I like my job. That's 2 votes for like. The Dranzogger doesn't like it. Ragnar Jackbrock hates it. Etherknight says it's meh. Plus, David isn't answering. He's talking about other stuff. Pashi, I know you don't like your job. I love certain parts of my career field. Furoki doesn't have a job yet. He's in school. Dranzogger means he loves his job, not me. All right, good. I'm glad you love one. Lanufel doesn't have a job yet because he's in school. All right, we're going to go on to the next question. But the point is, most people hate their job. Take some risk and make sure you find what you want. I can't stand Twitch chat. Oh, Devin, that's harsh, buddy. I'm going to be streaming with Devin on Saturday. We talked about this. We're going to stream Saturday late morning. He's never late. So whenever time we go on Saturday, it's still never late. We haven't announced a time yet, but we'll stream Saturday. And you guys are going to get a chance. You're going to get a chance to come ask us for raises. We're going to bring live people on stream and let you ask us for a raise. And and Shino, you got auto-modded. That's too bad, but you're welcome. That's just auto-mod. Our triggers are set pretty tight, so don't take it personally. And yeah, Devin and I have a bunch of ideas. But I got to honor Plus David here in a minute. He spent a bunch of bits to pump his next question, so everybody's going to wonder what it is. Like, what the hell did he ask that he was willing to spend $7 or $10 on? But yeah, Devin and I are going to kill it Saturday, and then the show that follows that is going to be even better. he and I really, we have good ideas, and he's a huge help to me. If you're here from Devin's channel, feel free to be nice to him. I love that he comes and watches. And so we're going to jump on this question, though. Pink Dragons, thank you for all the bits. I think that's the first time Pink Dragons has ever used cheering, so much appreciate bits here. Roy T. Kim needs to... I couldn't watch Devin's show today. All right, we're going to answer this question. So pop it up, mods. It's got 50 damn votes, which if I didn't know that David paid for them, I would think meant half of you in chat had voted, but the rest of you can go vote on the rest of the questions. Oh, Pink Dragons is going to have to cheer one more bit to get ahead of Dave if she wants. So the question is, can you meme briefly about the choice between corporate loyalty and staying at the same place for a long time versus job hopping every 2 or 3 years for advancement in terms of risk? Yeah. All right. So before I came to Amazon, where I've been for nearly 15 years, before I did that, before Amazon, I was always at startups where I was 3 years or less. And so in those jobs, I job hopped. Like every place I was different. My first job was 3.5 years. All of you can follow me on LinkedIn or connect to me there. I accept almost every connection. I love to have you guys on LinkedIn. You can look at my profile on LinkedIn and see about me. And look, on LinkedIn, you can see my career. First job was 3.5 years. Next job was only 6 months. Bad. Next job, 2.5 years. Next job, 2.5 years. Next job, like a year. A little bit more, like 15 months. And then I came to Amazon where I've been 15 years. So I've done both sides of this. And basically, I would say... And also at Amazon, by the way, I've switched jobs internally every 3 to 5 years. So even though I've been there 15 years, I'm on my 4th job. And now it's on. Pink Dragons is taking the bits lead. I got to call that out. But I would say as long as you're putting in 2 to 3 years somewhere, if you have a better opportunity after that, internal or external, take it. It's your life. And if you have a chance to move up, do it. Now, if you can do that all in the same company, or you get inside a great company, fantastic. Stay at that company. If I had not stayed at Amazon, I wouldn't have had all the opportunities I've had, because when I joined Amazon, it was a bookstore. It sold books, CDs, what are those, and VHS. What's that? The retail was actually called BMVD, which sounds like a venereal disease, but stood for books, VHS, music, and DVDs. Books, video, music, DVD. We didn't have Kindle. We didn't have AWS. I joined it because I needed a job, frankly, and they offered me one. And if I hadn't stayed there, now I'm part of like one of the most amazing companies on earth. And so I'm very, very lucky. And I've gotten promoted twice. So I started as what's called a senior manager, BMVD, Ligerbox. BNVD. Oh, God, Liger's going to have to tell us what BNVD is. So now I'm curious, Liger, what's BNVD? Anyway, I stayed there and I learned a lot and I got all these chances. But I still changed jobs internally. For those of you who don't know my career, I started in Amazon Video. I built Prime Video. Then I went to video games and I ran a game studio. Then I went and built our app store. And then I went to Twitch. And now I run Twitch Prime. So I've changed a few times. Change every 2 to 3 years. Go when you have better opportunity. Never stop growing. The one thing I wouldn't do is if you have a really good boss who's taking care of you and developing your career and investing in you, remember, and I agree, by the way, Lassiter, Amazon is an MMO. I talked with Devin. A career and a role-playing game are not that different. You have a set of stats, your intelligence, your charisma, etc., and you're trying to build a career and build up your skills so that you can defeat the boss level monster. They're very similar. You can think about MMO or RPG all the way from school. Like school is your initial character. That's where you're like building your initial character sheet and going through the like the tutorial. Like university is the tutorial for a career. So the point is, if you have a good boss who's taking care of you and you can grow and you're getting mentorship, value that. Because every time you change jobs or change roles, you are rolling the dice on getting a shitty boss. And that's a bad deal. Because I shared this on the chat before, more than 70% of people leave a job because of their boss. Now, when they leave, they say all kinds of things. All right. Wow, Automod catches the word chlamydia, but we approved it. So, yeah. Who thought big nut venereal disease? That is great. Right in the middle of an answer about corporate loyalty, we get chat talking about big nut venereal disease. I don't even know where to go with that. That is the best thing in chat tonight. BNVD. And way better than chlamydia, by the way. So look, 70% of people leave over their boss. They say all kinds of shit. I'm leaving for family. I'm leaving for more opportunity, for more money. But you call them up later, and what they tell you is, I hated my boss. This just gets better and better. The Liger stuff. Doctors are scary people. If you are not afraid of medicine, get older. So I have my first. Somebody, Kristen, who was here, maybe she's gone to sleep now because it's late on the East Coast. I have my first colonoscopy coming in a few weeks. And I'm actually scheduled to stream the night after it. So for years, I've called colonoscopies the ass telescope, and now it's my turn. So I'll be streaming. Well, if I cancel a stream suddenly in December, you'll know why. So, yeah, extra whiskey that night. If I do a stream standing up and I'm not in Dave's studio where I normally stand, you'll know why. All right, so finishing up this question. Corporate loyalty is great because you can build up a reputation. So I've built a reputation in Amazon, and that allows me to pick jobs with new bosses if I want. And so that's a value of it. But overall, get away from bad managers. Get close to good managers. Stick with them, even if they go somewhere else, and do what is best for you. But don't jump jobs too fast. This question said job hopping every 2 or 3 years. Totally do that if you have a better opportunity, internal or external. Uh-oh. They will give you Lorazepam. Yeah. So, Liger, how long after I get home can I drink? I will not drink beforehand. And yes, I know there's sedation involved. I don't like sedation, but that is what it is. And in this case, it sounds good. LGR says, is the 70% manager thing people saying the manager is the only reason or the primary reason? Well, yeah, but they're conservative, Liger. They'll end up telling me, like, don't drink for 2 weeks. You got to tell me the actual truth. Like, am I going to die if it's an hour after or like 6 hours after? Because you doctors are afraid of being sued, and you like put all these bounds on everything that are super conservative. T Weirdo says 3 days. 3 days. Wow. Then I can't drink on stream. All right, I'll have to hydrate. Kyle is sometimes here, always telling us to hydrate. So we'll switch to water. All right, moving on. I think you should corporate loyalty is good if it's working out, but otherwise move on. We got a lot of votes for other questions. This is fantastic. I love the big stream, by the way. There's tons of people here. Thank you all for watching. I'm Ethan Evans, and we do these streams to educate. I'll talk a minute, pop up the next question, mods, and while it comes up, I'll talk a minute about streams we have coming up. I'm going to be streaming with Devin this Saturday. We have a special stream coming. But more than that, because Devin can tell you all about that, we'll do a stream next Saturday, this coming Saturday, where you can ask us for a raise. On Monday, we're going to do a stream. Next Monday, I'm going to have the head of Amazon recruiting on my stream. And, the head of Amazon student recruiting. So I know a lot of you are students. We're going to talk about how we test students, how many students we hire. It is thousands of interns and thousands of full-time into the great Amazon opportunity. By the way, someone asked me earlier, would I have stayed at Amazon if I had joined as an entry-level engineer? I don't know. Entry-level engineers do super well here, but the work is really hard. And so you learn a lot. That was Roy T. Kim. I think plenty of engineers have stayed a long time. Some of our most senior people now joined as college students. I have a peer vice president who joined as a summer intern. He was going to be a doctor, and he joined as a summer intern to have something to do while he was in pre-med, and he never left. So please follow the stream, and please come back next Monday, because even if you aren't interested in getting a job as a graduating student, understanding how Amazon recruits thousands of students is worth knowing. You want to know that. All right, we're going to jump to this next question, which is great. What could risk-taking look like for an engineer working towards being an expert as an IC? Get on high-risk projects. Risk-taking as an engineer looks like several things. It's a great question. Thank you. Number one, there will be projects in your company that no one wants to touch because they might not work, because they're boring technology, someone thinks, because they are hard. Go towards the high-risk projects. Take risk there, because you'll be appreciated. You'll get to be more senior than you are. The problems are hard, and if you conquer the hard problems, you will get a reputation. So taking a risk as an engineer or any other sort of expert is go towards the thing that might fail, the thing that people are saying is hard. Liger, it's a little weird, by the way. I know I said I'd ignore chat, but with you talking about chlamydia and then your mouth being on fire, it's like a bad mix. I know it's about hot food, but really. IC means individual contributor. So the point is, any role, if you don't want to be a manager, but you want to move up, go towards the hard problem. Go towards the thing people think is going to fail, or that everyone else is like, I'm not touching that. Talk to your boss and say, look, I'm going to take a shot at it. I'll tell a story. One of my mentors in Amazon was a guy. Oh, shit. What was his last name? See, this is bad when you get old. Senior moment. Brian Valentine. So Brian Valentine came to us from Microsoft, and he was responsible for shipping Windows 4.0, I think. So some people may know Brian. They may like him. They may hate him. But the point is, he was asked to take over Windows 4.0 when it was failing. When it hadn't shipped, it was months late, it was a mess. And he said, look, he was asked by Steve Ballmer, the then CEO of Microsoft, to take it on and fix it. And he said, well, look, you're firing the guy who's got it right now. If I take it on and it doesn't go well, am I going to get fired? And Ballmer said, no, you won't get fired. He said, great, I'm in. I will try anything. I will take any risk. I will take on any crappy project as long as I won't get fired. And so he dove in and shipped Windows, and now he's a zillionaire. He made $1 zillion the first time at at Microsoft. Then he came over to Amazon, and because he had made $1 zillion at Amazon or Microsoft, we had to pay him $1 zillion to come to Amazon. So now he has $2 zillion, and he married a beautiful woman in the trade. Who, by the way, was a VP at Amazon and didn't need his money, so it wasn't about the $1 zillion. So the point is, yeah, he's got $2 zillion now. Zillion should be my new middle name, Iofalt. I'll change it from your guess. Anyway, point is, go towards the big risks. So it fails, so it blows up. Engineers will always be valued and can always get jobs, even if their project failed, because you can say this big project tanked and I learned so much. Go ahead and take risk, and that's how you move forward as any sort of professional. Liger can talk about this. He's in a high-risk area now, and he's working for a great new boss who he thinks will win the Nobel Prize. So we have people in chat who've taken these risks as individual contributors. You go towards the thing that's going to pay off. You go towards the thing that will build your skills and is hard. Because if you do want to get better, go towards the hard work. You're not afraid of hard work, are you, right? You're smart. And I love all the people following. Thank you for all the followers. All right, moving on. We'll do a couple more questions. We have a lot of votes here, so I feel loyal to you. But at the same time, I'm sure my dinner's already quite cold. As a manager, how do you encourage your team to take smart risks? Well, let's talk about how you discourage them. You discourage them by punishing them when they fail. So look, as a manager, the way you encourage them is when things go wrong, you don't go on a hunt for the guilty. And if other people are complaining to your team or want to come after your team and say you screwed this up, you have to stand in front of them and say, no one on the team is responsible for this except me. I'm the leader. I'm the manager. I made this choice. The problem is mine. If you lead that way, your team will see, oh, it's safe to take risks. As a manager, you encourage your team to take smart risks by making them safe, by keeping them safe to take those risks. And you create safety by protecting them from blowback politically and not dinging them yourself. Now, it's fine to do a post-mortem as long as you actually study what went wrong and you use it to learn. If you use it as a hunt for the guilty, your team will learn and they will never come back. Okay, they will learn that he says he wants us to take risks, or she says she wants us to take risks. The post-mortem is the way to encourage risk because it does two things for you. Post-mortem means you get together in a meeting and you talk about what went right and what went wrong, and you all try and learn from it together. And if it's about learning without blaming, number one, that will make your team smarter about future risks. And number two, they will see that you don't punish people. And we have a river of followers coming in right now, which I really appreciate. Thank you very much for all the follows. So it's about how you lead when things go wrong. It's also about how you lead when things go right. When something goes right for your team, you celebrate it. And if you celebrate with your team and truly praise people and truly make it a positive, they'll take more risks because they feel safe and appreciated. All right. I think that's actually a great short answer. I'm going to read chat and move on because we have a lot of good questions here. The stressful period is much longer, but I had to make the leap of faith. Ligerbox. Yeah, Ligerbox took a risk and was in limbo for a while. Cast9 says defend your team. That is totally right. Jocko Willink from Extreme Ownership. Great book. We're not going to pop up the list today. Actually, what I haven't done is talk about my book list real quick. So there's a lot of new people here. Then we'll go on to the next question. So you can find my book list on EthanEvansVP.com. This is my blog. It's got my recommended books. A lot of the books I've talked about are here, like Decisive we talked about earlier tonight. Now I'm talking about Extreme Ownership. So Extreme Ownership is an amazing book, and so we'll kill that. But Extreme Ownership is a great book, and it talks about defending your team, protecting your team, taking responsibility. So there you have it. All right. We'll drop out of that because all you're looking at is the top of my head, which is kind of boring. And we'll go back here. I'll fix the cameras for next week. Not my top priority right now because we're having a good time talking. All right. So next question. Mods, go ahead and roll to it. We'll jump on it as soon as I can get my windows straight. Here we go. How can you convince your colleagues to be more open to risk? I work in a small IT department of seven people, and my counterpart strongly prefers that we triple check our work and test every scenario when rolling new things out. This often slows us down. Well, okay, so number one, IT is a bad place to take a lot of risks. Like, it's not a risk-taking department. But I would ask the people in IT, I would ask your peer, what is the consequence? What is going to happen if, like, how bad is it? In other words, if it's going to erase everyone's email forever and we're going to lose everything for all time, that's a bad idea. Like, don't take a risk there. If, on the other hand, the worst consequence is like people are going to have to close and reopen their email, or we might get a few calls, I would try to get him to start with small risks, little risks. Don't try and get him to take a big one. The second thing is I would try and figure out, can you do some things independently? In other words, can you do some things without this counterpart? And I don't mean go around him. The third thing is I would talk to him about the cost of his or her, I think you said his, this is my counterpart. I would talk to him about the cost of moving so slowly, all the stuff you're not getting done. But particularly in a big company, people want IT to work, and though they gripe about it being slow, they punish risk, right? That's the problem. Why is he slow? Because risk is getting punished. And so risk is getting punished because anytime something is down, I saw somebody ask for the YouTube. So there's my new YouTube channel. We rebranded it to Ethan Evans VP. Anytime something in IT goes down, everybody's at the door complaining and saying what idiots you are. So don't do that. And I appreciate it, by the way. We've got a huge set of people here. We've had them here all night, so thank you. Please share the YouTube link to people who don't get here. We grow through your referrals. And so if you've enjoyed this content, and you must have because you've been with us 2 hours, share the link. So finishing this, because I'm going to move faster to get through questions because I got to go eat. I would try and get him to take some small risks. I'd try to find things I could do without him. And other than that, I'd talk to him about the cost of being slow. All right, next question. What's the greatest risk you've taken as a manager of people this year? Okay, these questions are kind of tricky because I have to come up with it on the fly. Let me think about this. I'm trying to think about my whole last year. So a big risk I took, I guess, and I don't know if it's a huge risk. You have to decide when to trust people. And so I was going to transition out of Twitch. I worked at Twitch, which is an Amazon subsidiary. Now I work on Twitch Prime, which is owned within Amazon. So it's not actually part of Twitch. So I switched from reporting to Emmett Shear, CEO of Twitch, to reporting to someone in Amazon. And the biggest risk I took was who I told I was going to do that. And that's because of leaks. If a manager gets a leak that they're going to leave a role, all of their credibility and authority is gone. So we knew I needed a really long transition out of this role because Twitch didn't have anyone to cover for me. They've now hired a great guy who succeeded me as chief product officer. That wasn't my job, but he owns my old teams. And the big risk I took is for 6 months I was on my way out and some people knew, but they kept it quiet. And so that's a risk or a gamble that worked out. And that seems like a big risk I took. As a people manager, who did I tell and how do you keep a secret for 6 months? Because there's a great saying about secrets. 2 people can keep them if one of them is dead. There's a second saying about secrets, if you like math, which says the odds of something being kept a secret is 1 over n squared, where n is the number of people who know. So I'll let you all work out the math on that, but the more people who know, it goes downhill really quickly. What else is a big risk I've taken this year? Let's see. Twitch Prime launched benefits on mobile, but that was no risk at all because we think people are going to love mobile games. I'm just trying to think through things we've done. I took on a new team. I needed to hire a new leader for that team. I'm just going through stuff in my head. And I turned down some qualified people because I was looking for someone better. So that's a type of risk. Like when you have a leader in hand and you need a leader, but you think you can do better, that's a risk definitely to leave a role open when you can hire better. What I'm trying to think of here, though, is where do we take a big risk on a launch or something? So Twitch went to Europe for TwitchCon. That was new and different. I don't think it was a huge risk, but it was cool to do TwitchCon in Europe. I'm looking forward to the next TwitchCon in Europe, which will be in Amsterdam. Nothing wrong with that. I don't know. I don't have a great answer to this. Oh, I do know. So my biggest risk, in my opinion, I know you'll find it's weird. Yeah. Somebody just said rebranding. It's actually launching this stream because I explained at the beginning of the stream all the ways it could have gone wrong. I launched this stream and it could have been filled. Twitch is famous for trolls. And I worked at Twitch at the time. So I was executive vice president of commerce and a bunch of other stuff at Twitch. And the trolls could have come after me. And in fact, we came very close to having an incident in this channel. I won't talk about who it was, but someone who had been in trouble with Twitch moderation showed up in my channel chatting with me because I knew the person. And other people in chat recognized who it was and started to go off on that person because of their issues. And yes, it was Duke of Thought, but we didn't ban him despite Duke of Thought's horrible behavior. So the point is, my risk was becoming a public figure for Twitch with all the risk of Twitch being such a sometimes hostile environment that gets crazy on Twitter and whatever. Remember, since I work for Twitch Prime, if I say something bad here, it gets clipped and shared like that. If I actually say something that can be used about Twitch or I accidentally talk about policy, people think I'm the official voice, even though we have this thing we pop up all the time that says I'm not speaking for Twitch when I'm talking here. My risk was I would get on this channel and say something about Twitch where I'd have to shut the channel down, or I would embarrass or humiliate Twitch. And that would have been a disaster. So that was my biggest personal risk. I hope that answers your question. Thoughts on risk. Next question is thoughts on risk taking early in your career versus later. Great question. And somebody, yes, I have had a live stream fail clip yet, IOFault. You can go look for it. It was early. And it was thanks to Devin. He's my man. It was my very first stream with Devin. Uh-oh. Drink's empty. That's another sign. I'm not having another, so that's another sign we're winding down. So if you want to vote on any questions that I haven't answered, this is your chance. All right. So I already talked about taking risks in college. Look, there are trade-offs. Early in your career, there's a lot of time to recover from risk, and you probably don't have kids yet. So there's a lot of chance to recover, and that's why it's a great time to take risk. If you flip to the late part of your career, the end of your career, or later in your career, you have a lot more credibility. You may have more money. You may have paid off some debts. You may have money in the bank to where you can take a risk and afford it. And so the trade-offs are different. Early in your career, if you decide you want to change direction or you don't know what you want to do, I would take risks early in my career that had to do with learning. And I would take risks late in my career that have to do with doing what you want or what you believe in. Early in your career, you may need to do what you can get paid for because you have debt, because you want to get a house, because you want to get a car, because you want to get citizenship somewhere. You may have to take risks that strictly advance your career. Later in your career, you take the risks on the stuff you want. So like I jumped on Twitch. When Amazon bought Twitch, I thought, I love games. This is going to be cool. I'm going to go work on a gaming site. So I jumped in, even though I knew very little about Twitch at the time. And even though the average user on Twitch is like half my age, I thought, this is great. I'm going to go learn. But I had that freedom because if it didn't work out, I could do something else. So I think take risks early in your career, take risks late, but always keep taking risks. That's my main message, is take smart, calculated risks. Particularly, we talked earlier about two-way doors that you can reverse, because just plodding along doing the same old shit all the time will drive you crazy. Why do that? Next question is, what risks do you see professionals early in their careers take that almost always backfire? Well, that almost always backfires joining startups. I was going to tell this story earlier. Furrow Key, I know it's late there. Wish you a good night. We've gone on an extra long time. What risks do you see professionals take early in their careers that almost always backfire? Those are risks joining startups. I joined a bunch of startups when I was young, and they all failed, and I lost all the money I put into them because they had the ability where you could buy stock, and I foolishly lost the money I put in. So most startups fail. You may learn a lot, but the risk I see is people think their first startup is going to be Google or Amazon or Facebook, and like they're gonna make a bajillion dollars at the startup, and they work 300 hours a week, which seems physically impossible, but somehow they do it because that startup they joined, it's gonna change the world. And the fact is, it's not. Most startups fail. Almost all of them fail. The ones that don't fail get bought out in such a way, you can go look this stuff up. VCs, venture capitalists, have a thing called liquidation preference, which is a fancy way of saying the VCs get all the money. And as Plus David says, you usually get paid very little in money and a lot of stock, which turns out to be worthless. Now, if you want to join a startup to learn or to be a part of that lottery ticket, go crazy. But what backfires is people think they're going to get rich, and they're not. Almost never. Even at Twitch, where I happen to know who got money and who didn't, and I can't talk about it in detail, a lot of the early employees, some of the early employees did great, and particularly the founders did great. But some of them got not so much. And that's when they got bought by Amazon for $1 billion. $1 billion. That was a lot of money. And then the stock went up. The stock Amazon paid for Twitch now would be worth almost $5 billion. And still there's some people who didn't get very much. So understand that's one of the risks. What else do I see? Yeah, basically chase your passions, but understand that your passion may not make you a lot of money. So if you join a company because you want to do it, understand that's a choice to say I may not also make a lot of money or have a really good first experience and I may end up unemployed. Okay. And now we're down to the last question I'm going to answer because it's fun. And so we're going to save this one off. And this is the last question for the night. And that question was, how was my day today? And I would say thanks to you, it was good. I had a good day. I rode the train in with my stepson. We had a wonderful time. I got to do some good stuff at work. Got to work on inventing some things. Got to talk about not being specific. Let me see if I can put this in plain English. I got to think about hard problems, which I like. But mostly I got to come home here, and my day got a lot better with this stream because I started this stream saying I wasn't going to push to increase viewership, and I was just going to chat with you and talk about a subject I thought was interesting and have a good time. And I was going to try and stay up, blah, blah, blah. I was going to try and change a bunch of stuff about the stream. And we've had our biggest stream ever. Without a raid or a host, this is the biggest stream we've had so far. And it's getting bigger every week. And we went for 2 hours on awesome questions. So my day was good before I got home. Thanks to you, my day has been terrific. And so with that in mind, thank you very much. IO Fault wants to know about better Twitch TV. I am thinking about it. It's just a matter of time. So we might turn that on in the future. Meanwhile, last advertisement of the night. It's been a good night. Please share us out to people. Invite more people here. Devin and I are going to stream together Saturday sometime on a great show where you get to ask us for raises. We have an even better show than that planned for the future that I came up with earlier tonight. So we have more shows coming. Devin and I love to stream together. We're going to keep killing it together. And so if you enjoy that, you probably already follow him, follow me. We're going to keep having fun. And yes, we're going to gamify asking us for raises, so it's not going to be easy. I have a reputation to uphold as the assassin on his channel. And so expect to hear, no, you're fired a lot. So come on in, but be warned. Come on channel, we'll have fun. I won't be smiling at you when I fire you, but it'll all be in good humor, and we'll be giving feedback and teaching others how to ask for a raise and get it. Maybe we'll get Kristen on to talk about her raise, where she got a 16.5% raise becoming a manager today. So if you don't know, Kristen's one of the people I coach on my channel, and she got promoted to a management role today and got a 16.5% raise. Now, I can't take complete credit for that, but I'll take a little bit of credit. So good job, Kristen. All right. Last thing is, I'm going to stream next Monday. LGR, you should be afraid. You can hide, though. You can mute us when it gets too scary. Next Monday, same time, 6 o'clock Pacific, I'm going to have the head of Amazon recruiting, a nice Amazon student recruiting on. Even for those of you who aren't students, you want to come see that because we're going to talk about how to hire well at scale and how Amazon does all its recruiting. And also, Albert and I are going to tell war stories together about stuff we did when Amazon was smaller. Yeah, Kristen, join Discord. That's right. Her advice is good. Our Discord channel, we talk all week. The community helps each other. And the mods, thank you, Hephaestus. The mods will put Discord up for us. They're on. All right, so with that, I'm out. I thank you all so much for being here. It's been a great show. We've had a ton of followers. We've had a number of subs. We've had a huge number of viewers. And I'm late for dinner. So I got to go put some food in with the empty glass. Thank you all very much. Have a good night and cheers. I'm out.